Today, 3 tips for getting the most out of your dumbbell workouts. And we're going to critique a whole upper body workout in high intensity strength training from yours truly. The first tip is extremely simple on getting more out of your workouts. Videotape your workouts. Watch it, play it back, see what needs to change. The mind thinks that it is incredibly self-aware, but it's really just a computer. When you start doing this, your form, your intensity, everything about your workouts will begin to get better and you'll start to see results fast. Try it out, it works. I spent most of my life not really getting results, doing silly things like using resistance bands, not to full intensity, and then I found high intensity strength training. A little guy like me doubling my strength and even moving past that. It's kind of unheard of for extremely skinny average people that have never had muscle mass in their lives. So the second tip, increase your effort. You want to push harder on all of the exercises if possible. Now, most people mistake what intensity means. All it means is putting in more effort. We do know, due to Dr. Hinneman's size principle, that the very last repetition, when we cannot move the weights physically any further, that's the rep that recruits the most amount of muscle fibers than any rep. I get into this a little bit deeper in a document down below. It's free PDF, maybe 9 pages on high intensity strength training, the big 5 with dumbbells. So check that out. I have courses down below as well. The bottom line is if you are not using full intensity, you are leaving some gains on the table. And gains means muscle growth and health benefits.
Please like and subscribe, share this video with someone that you know it can help.
Tip number 3, and I talk about this during the workout that I did yesterday, try to accentuate the maximum contraction point of all exercises if possible. Every exercise, of course, has its own maximum contraction point. For the biceps, it's at the very top when we're squeezing here for 3 seconds and we turn around. When we are moving through a range of motion, we can use a 3-second squeeze on that maximum contraction point for each exercise. We can even hold a longer static contraction at the end as well, especially if we can't move the weights. I realized that the weight I used was a little bit too heavy, that I had moved it up overzealously, but I still wanted to get over 60 seconds for time under load. I think it's important too for me to say that on my courses, in every single course, I reach momentary muscular failure on all of the exercises to show you what to expect and how you can reach that point as well. I don't just demonstrate the exercises, I reach failure. Without further ado, here is my upper body workout from yesterday with dumbbells.
This is basically an assisted pull-up, very similar to the Nautilus Gravitron machine. I'm going to be displacing my weight with my feet. The first 4 pillars of safety here. Core engaged, shoulders down, breathing deep, keeping good speed. I'm moving through the full range of motion to have a little bit of a stretch in my elbow for this. That is recommended for the compound row and for the lat pull down, or of course the pull up. I adjusted my shoulders there. You'll notice that I still do at times have a hard time keeping perfect form when I'm self-evaluating. That's why making videos of yourself and your own workouts can be very useful. Again, here you can see my breathing's increasing, that intensity. We're here at that moment of failure. You can see I can't come close to 45-degree angle in my elbow. And I call it at that point. For here, the bent over row, of course, this is the same muscles as a compound row. You will have to be careful of your lower back. If this does bother you, you could do 1-armed rows on a bench, of course. If this does bother your lower back, you'll notice as I go through this, of course, speed, form, breathing, core engaged. I have good range of motion here. That means the weights aren't too heavy this time. And I turned around right there when it started getting a little easier. Here, a short squeeze for a couple seconds. Those squeezes at the maximum contraction point are very useful. That's one of the most useful things, is to know where the maximum contraction points are for each exercise. Here, of course, another squeeze. Many will call this exercise and stop doing it if they get to 45-degree angle in their elbow. I like to push for a couple more reps deeper than that, especially right now. I've been getting good results with eating enough protein and carbs. Logically, I may have been able to get another rep, but this is essentially momentary muscle failure. You can get a little more range of motion when you're using a bench than a push-up. Again, core engaged, breathing well, speed, and form all locked in. Those are the three really important parts of all of this. We can focus on the muscles that we're using. Of course, here it's the chest. There's others being used. One thing that I'm noticing about my form is I was not putting an emphasis on the inward squeezing motion that is very useful to utilize for any type of chest exercise. Good. Losing range of motion here. This is exactly what we're after. I linger in this space here because this, again, is the maximum contraction point of the chest press, of the dumbbell bench press, any of these. It's right where your chest is. When it's the closest to you, you're getting the most out of it. So these squeezes here at the end are going to be the most impactful. You'll notice my movement is very slow through all of this, even when I'm manipulating the dumbbells before and after the exercises. It's, of course, the overhead press, core engaged, good slow motion, breathing well. Should be free breathing as well. Nothing restricting your breath flow through your nose and mouth. This one has an inward squeezing motion as well. Again, also useful to focus on the muscle groups that we're using. The mind carries more electrical signal. Up to 30% is what research shows when we do focus on our muscle groups. That's powerful. Mind-muscle connection is what most people call this, of course. You always notice that one arm is a little bit stronger than the other, your dominant hand. That's just going to be how it is with dumbbells. Again, reaching failure, linger around the point of the maximum contraction point here at the end. I do a static contraction at the end of each one just to assure I can get as many muscle fibers as possible recruited. I do prefer the concentration curl because I am getting great results from my biceps. If any point of the range of motion hurts you, then you can limit the range of motion during that part. I do have a slight injury in my elbow, an old injury. And the more I do high-intensity strength training, the less it bothers me. Where I started only being able to go through a short range of motion on the Nautilus preacher curl, I can now move through the full range of motion for the dumbbell concentration curl. As deep as possible, as intense as we can. When we think we can't get another rep, it's important to go for another, especially on this one. It's when it doesn't move, not when it burns, when it doesn't move that we've won. This is the last one for the workout for today. Of course, core engaged, breathing well, focusing on the muscles, moving slowly. Head, neck, and shoulders neutral. I don't do a fantastic job of this on this workout, but we really only want the forearms to be the movers. The elbows are the pivot point here. Anything above your elbow doesn't need to be moving. Just the forearms. I still have tendency to wiggle my feet or get out of form when I reach failure, unfortunately. Again, recording your own workouts is very powerful. Resisting here with a contraction at the end. I always want to push to the deepest fatigue possible to failure. Again, right there, that was a little bit too jerky and forceful.
I'm JG. I hope you live a longer life with the power of strength training.